faithfully sharing value and exploring the world's best books. Hey, this is Shingma Storytelling. Today, we're diving into the book One Square Inch of Silence. Back in 1905, Nobel Prize winner Robert Koch warned that someday humans must fight noise as hard as they fight cholera or plague. Over a century later, just as Koch predicted, silence has vanished, not only from our cities and countryside, but even in vast wildernesses, where it's tough to find a spot untouched by human noise. The 1 square inch in the book's title is tinier than a teacup lid, but it stands for all the last silent places on Earth. Oh, it's real. Deep in a rainforest in Washington State, USA, the book's author, Gordon Hempton, stumbled upon this tiny silent spot during a trip. After that, he kept returning to soak in and record nature's quiet. Hempton's hailed as the world's best listener. He's a pro sound expert. Ecologists specialize in capturing and analyzing nature's sounds to study and protect Earth's ecology. Hempton's been recording for over 25 years, circling the globe 3 times to capture waterfall roars, wolf pup coos on the prairie, and even butterfly ring flaps too faint for human ears in his sound library. The documentary Vanishing Dawn Chorus he helped make earned him an Emmy for outstanding individual achievement. While recording nature's sounds, Hempton found America's silence fading fast, with even that 1 square inch starting to face human noise intrusion. To grasp the whole U.S. picture, in April 2007, Hempton hit the road in an old car for a cross-country trip. He packed recording gear and a sound meter, trekking from western Washington state to eastern Washington, D.C., over 3 months, measuring noises along the way. He wrote this book to share his journey's tales, hoping folks will hear them, tune back into nature, and shield its silence. Before we jump into Hempton's travels, we gotta explain a concept first. What is silence? Hempton's definition of silence isn't what we expect. It's not about no sound at all, but the presence of all natural sounds. It's nature's original sound, undisturbed by human noise and can be clearly heard by humans. A coyote howling at the night sky is a form of silence, and its partner's response is also silence. Silence is the whisper of falling snow. After it melts, it turns into the lovely sound of flowing water. The soft tunes from insects flapping their wings make you want to dance. Silence is that gentle melody. When they carefully weave through pine resin to dodge the breeze, insect chirps and the pine forest sighs blend together. It can echo in your ears all day. The sound of silence has layers. Have you heard the sound of the rainy season arriving in the rainforest? Actually, the first sound of the rainy season isn't the wet splatter of rain, but countless seeds dropping from trees, followed by gently fluttering leaves that drift down to cover the seeds. But this is just the prelude. When a fierce storm hits, every tree adds its own voice. Then, raindrops fall from high above, smacking thick branches and trunks, crashing into lower twigs and dense moss, then sliding into bushes, flattening delicate leaves before dripping to the ground. The sound of silence also carries info. Hempton's even learned to tell a stream's age from its flow. Ancient streams have flowed for thousands of years. Their channels and rocky beds, constantly battered by rapids and floods, become smooth with little resistance. So their music is quieter, while in young streams, jagged rocks push water aside, making a clattering sound. Sometimes Hempton tries to alter a stream's symphony, like moving rocks around, then listening for subtle sound changes. Beyond the wonderful sensory feel of silence, it can also be defined with concrete data. The defined range for natural silence is 25 to 35 weighted decibels. Sounds in rural areas usually fall here. In such settings, most folks hear nothing at first, but after a few minutes, they start catching nature's subtle movements, like distant leaf rustling. We can think of A-weighted decibels as an upgraded version of decibels. Decibels represent sound loudness, but our ears have different sensitivities to sounds of varying frequencies. Human ears are more sensitive to mid-frequency sounds, so sound level meters factor that in, converting decibels to A-weighted decibels using formulas. Most noise regulations use A-weighted decibels. Busy street sounds can hit 80 decibels, while quiet spots are around 20 decibels, and our ears barely notice sounds below 20 decibels. Oh, Hampton first realized nature's silence totally by accident. In 1980, Hampton was 27, working as a bike courier delivering packages daily. One day, while biking, he passed a freshly harvested cornfield and heard crickets chirping with distant thunder rumbling before a storm. He stopped, mesmerized, listening for hours, and it hit him. Nature's got the most beautiful sounds. After that, he started traveling the world to record nature's sounds, making listening his livelihood and life. To find quiet places, Hempton used NASA's nighttime Earth images. Bright areas like around New York were out of the question. Instead, the dark spots with no lights were his go-to destinations. Then he'd check traffic maps and air routes to rule out human areas like roads, mines, oil wells, gas lines, and only visit the leftovers. He'd often camp in the wild with food in a tent for days, wake at 3 or 4 a.m., set up recording gear, then sip hot tea while quietly listening to dawn birds and wind. In the dark, he couldn't see anything, but his hearing sharpened up and his mind felt super peaceful. At dawn was Hempton's favorite recording time. He'd wait for the first light to spark birds singing, nature's dawn chorus. Once, to record wildlark's dawn chorus, he spent 6 weeks straight in woods on a Washington state island. Since the woods were protected, no overnight camping was allowed for visitors. So every dawn, he'd paddle a canoe to the island in the dark, bike over a hill, ditch the bike outside, and hike 20 minutes to his preset recording spot. With such persistence and patience, he finally recorded what he considers the most perfect lark song. However, during his travels, Hempton found such places dwindling fast. He says the extinction rate of silent spots far outpaces species extinction. Hempton measures quiet areas based on intervals, without human noise, requiring over 15 consecutive minutes. A place free of human noise intrusion can be called a silent place. Based on Hempton's experience, finding such spots in the US is now super tough. Even in wilderness and national parks, daytime noise-free gaps have shrunk to under 5 minutes on average. By that 15-minute rule, Hempton figures fewer than 12 quiet places remain in the US today. Back in 1984, when Hempton first started recording nature sounds, he found 21 silent spots in Washington state. And by 2007, only 3 places in Washington state were still quiet, and one was the home of 1 square inch of silence. Deep in Olympic Park lies the Hoh Rainforest, the West's largest, most pristine temperate rainforest, home to bald eagles, Roosevelt elk, and mountain lions. It spans over 3,600 square kilometers, about twice Shenzhen's size. Much of the Hoh Rainforest is undeveloped wilderness with poor roads and air tourism still budding. Plus, with over 200 cloudy or rainy days yearly, tourism tickets sell poorly, visitors are scarce, so human noise is rare. Hampton loves the Hoh Rainforest and its valleys, often recording nature's sounds there, but he realized even here, silence sometimes feels like a luxury. One autumn in 2007, as usual, Hempton carried his sound meter, trekking along the Hoh River Valley Trail deeper into the rainforest. Along the way, he heard maintenance workers using chainsaws to cut wood for guardrails. Noise as loud as a highway, but Hempton kept going. The forest ranger station also blasted huge noise, rangers clearing leaves with roaring machines. After walking another kilometer, the sound meter finally hit quiet levels. Oh, this kind of nature silence being wrecked by humans kept happening all through Hampton's Cross America trip. For example, he went south from Rocky Mountain National Park along Highway 7 to a wilderness basin that should have been super quiet, no freeways, so traffic noise should have been rare. But there was a huge construction site right there, trucks full of gravel, blasting loud, grating sounds, turning this wild spot into a crazy, noisy freight yard. City folks might be numb to noise around them, but why is human noise invading so often, even deep in wilderness and national parks? Hmm. Hempton thinks it's 'cause modern transport boomed. Highways let Americans road trip long distances, sparking scenic resorts, then national scenic byways and trails of all sizes. Road trips became a trendy way to sightsee, and car floods surged into once peaceful rural areas. Oh, it's ironic. People drive out of cities to soak in nature's calm, but the very sightseers and traffic shatter that peace. And what's even sneakier, planes buzzing over wilderness skies. In Utah canyons, birds chirp to find mates, but that quiet gets busted by plane noise every 4 to 5 minutes. Even at the whole rainforest, home of that 1 square inch of silence, Hempton once logged 11 noise hits in 66 minutes, all from planes. Wilderness plane noise splits 3 ways: air tours, official work flights from flight authorities, and commercial airliners. Now, air tours operate over many parks. Canyonlands in Utah gets over 1,000 flights yearly. Hawaii Volcanoes tops 28,000. The Grand Canyon's wildest, about 800,000 folks take 90,000 sightseeing flights each year. That means 20 flights an hour buzz over the Grand Canyon, piling on massive noise. Besides tours, agencies like the National Park Service use choppers for park jobs like aerial elk counts. Plus, tons of commercial flights cross over national parks daily. Hempton tells us every 3 decibel increase doubles sound energy. Every 10 decibel jump makes noise seem twice as loud. In quiet rainforests, even a 20 decibel plane noise hits like dynamite and the roar lingers, sometimes stretching clear across a whole national park. Human noise shrinks our hearing range in wilderness, which could spell danger. Without noise pollution, humans could hear natural sounds miles away. Like before flash floods, you'd actually hear the water advancing minutes earlier. We could treat that as an early warning system, but plain noise on spectrograms mimics flood sounds so closely folks can't tell a flood's coming. For canyon residents and visitors, this could be life or death. A wilderness traveler named Peacock said, "In quiet woods, you hear subtle animal sounds, little sharp cries. That's mama bear scolding cubs, or wild boar calls echoing through trees." So experts advise staying silent in wilderness. Quiet listening is safety. A U.S. medical journal reported noise affects cardiovascular systems and spikes adrenaline, even without disrupting sleep. Too much adrenaline causes insomnia, vivid dreams, nerve sensitivity, a whole mess. Noise also hikes sick days and shortens lifespans. UT Southwestern Medical Center found noise makes sleep shallow. Patients get almost zero restorative rest, hindering recovery. To fight noise, many turn to headphones. But here's the catch: though brains distinguish music from noise, ears don't. Long-term damage is inevitable. And loud music fires up the brain's pleasure center. Northeastern University found heavy listeners get hooked on high volumes. Once suddenly cut off from these high decibels, they might suffer withdrawal symptoms like drug addicts quitting cold turkey. Compared to the harm noise causes humans, its impact on animals is even more terrifying. It could even lead to species extinction. Because for animals, sound isn't just for communication. It helps them stay safe and reproduce. Take birds. Their chirp sounds similar to us, but even the simplest call holds unique info only birds get. For birds, sound signals have 2 key functions: mating and defending territory. Birds often use calls to claim territory, warn off intruders, or alert mates to fight invaders. Noise messes with both these functions. Studies show fewer birds near highways. In noisy spots, mating and breeding success drops. shrinking populations. On his cross-country trip, Hampton passed through Sedgwick Town near Interstate 76. 20 years ago, he listened to the birds' dawn chorus here. 20 years later, same spot, same dawn. The bird chorus was sparser and less varied than he recalled. An old hunter Bob, whom Hampton met on the road, also griped that environmental changes are frighteningly fast. In some western U.S. areas, he used to hunt 7 bird species, but in just 5 years they vanished. Noise hits mammals just as hard. Biologists found that in helicopter zones, bighorn sheep eat 14% less in spring and 24% less in winter, so they're eating less. But due to plain noise, they run 50% more, meaning their energy intake and burn get out of whack. Their health takes a direct hit. Many researchers also find that if planes fly overhead, animals bolt from hiding in panic, causing stress, hormone spikes, and possible injury. And noise's impact on animals isn't just in U.S. wilderness. The science magazine New Scientist, a 2006 report noted that in European cities, songbirds' tunes are getting higher pitched to avoid being drowned out by traffic noise. Except in the far north regions like Finland and Norway, birds across Europe are struggling to adapt to noise's impact. And in the oceans, sound pollution is worsening too. The sounds of drilling rigs, low-frequency rumbles from commercial ships, and military sonar could cause whales and dolphins to strand. Hampton believes silence is a precious natural resource, as valuable as unpolluted fresh air, because long before human noise existed, the world had only nature sounds. Each of us has the right to listen to nature sounds undisturbed. So preserving nature's silence is as essential as protecting species and cutting CO2 emissions. To raise awareness about saving silence, Hampton launched a project called 1 Square Inch of Silence. The project officially began on April 22nd, 2005, which was Earth Day that year. That day, Hampton went deep into Olympic National Park's Hoh rainforest, placed a red stone from an indigenous elder on a fallen log as a marker, and returned repeatedly to monitor and record human noise imprint. After that, he tried to identify noise sources and emailed the responsible parties. Additionally, he attached an audio file to emails containing pre-noise, natural silence, and post-invasion conditions, explaining to them the importance of protecting natural silence. Hampton believes that protecting 1 square inch from human noise can let silence spread to wider areas. Meanwhile, over the years, Hampton has communicated with national park authorities and airlines to reroute flights away from park skies, facing many hurdles. Rerouting flights could cause delays, increase fuel use, raise emissions, and even create safety issues. Veteran pilot Nelson bluntly told Hampton, "Airlines won't be interested in what you're suggesting." As for sightseeing planes, a 2000 congressional bill tasked the National Park Service and Federal Aviation Administration with managing air tours to restore natural quiet. But the 2000 law can't be applied retroactively. Simply put, today's rules can't restrict past actions. You can't forcibly cancel existing sightseeing flights from yesterday, so flights are only somewhat controlled, and new routes can't be added. And still, in the pursuit of silence, some positive signals have emerged. Hampton's 1 Square Inch of Silence project is attracting more and more attention. This was originally his solo public project, but now the project's council has grown into a group. They hold annual meetings and organize hikes to the Hoh rainforest, spreading that tiny spot's peace to more places. The U.S. government is also pushing reforms. Congress passed a bill, and Rocky Mountain National Park banned flight tours first. The FAA is researching quieter flight tech to reduce noise. Hampton visited noise expert Fess at the EPA in Washington. Fess told him noise is tricky because people can't see the reality. We can't connect noise to things like cancer. Experts only talk to experts. The public doesn't get noise's health risks. And most folks' noise exposure is brief. Like if your neighbor blasts the radio at 7 a.m. Sunday, you get mad, but they turn it off by 8:30, then you cool off and think, oh well. And Fess believes public opinion is key to fixing the noise problem. Only when enough people want silence can noise control move forward. Pimpton suggests using quiet appliances in cities, and in wilderness, trying solo trips since people talk less alone. If traveling with others, keep voices low, use hand signals to communicate or warn. More importantly, we must be willing listeners to hear nature's unheard sounds. He says silence nourishes our essence. Human nature helps us know who we are, making our minds more receptive. With sharper ears, we'll not only hear nature better, but also each other's hearts. Silence spreads like embers from a fire. We can find it, and it finds us too. It may be lost, yet can be regained. Finally, let's quiet our minds and listen to nature's sound of silence. 1 square inch of silence. That concludes our reading of this book. The reading notes are below the audio. See you tomorrow.